But let's go back and recap. In week one, we talked about from the tribe of Issachar, there were 200 leaders of the tribe with their relatives. All these men understood the signs of the time. They knew the best course for Israel to take. So in week one, we learned some key lessons from the sons of Issachar, their confidence in their role and responsibility. We talked about their clarity about the moment, and we talked about their courage to do the right thing. All right. So the second week, we talked about to everything there is a season, a time for every purpose under the heaven. And so we talked about understanding the pain of pruning season. We talked about the patience of preparation season, and we talked about the purpose of prospering season. All right. And so last week we examined the spiritual progress of Elijah through various seasons. We talked about the trusting season where God placed him at the brook so that he can learn how to trust in God. All right. Then he took him through a transition season. The brook dried up and he had to transition to Zarephath. And then we talked about while he was in Zarephath, he experienced the teaching season where he had to teach others what he believed about God himself. And then he went through a testing season. He went through a season where the widow's son died. And he had to see God raise him from the dead. So it taught him how to pray. It taught him how to trust in God. But at the same time, it tested his faith in the God who could supply. But we also found out a God who can raise up dead situations. And then he took him to the mountain, and he went through a triumphant season where he was raining down fire from heaven. And then before we closed out, we saw Elijah on the run. He was running from Jezebel. He went and hid himself, and God had an unusual prescription: get you some rest, get you something to eat, and get you some rest, because in troubling season there's fatigue that's involved. And so we concluded by saying in every season you have to hear and heed the voice of God. All right. So tonight we want to examine an interesting snapshot in the life of King David. All right. So this is what we're going to be looking at tonight. And our key passage, if you want to follow along, our key passage will be 1 Samuel chapter 22, verses 1 through 5. All right. 1 Samuel chapter 22, verses 1 through 5. Listen to what it says. David left Gath and escaped to the cave of Adullam. When his brothers and father's household heard about it, they went down to him there. All those who were in distress or in debt or discontented gathered around him, and he became their leader. All right. About 400 men were with him. From there, David went to Mizpah in Moab and said to the king of Moab, "Would you let my father and mother come and stay with you until I learn what God will do for me?" So he left them with the king of Moab, and they stayed with him as long as David was in the stronghold. But the prophet Gad said to David, "Do not stay in the stronghold. Go into the land of Judah." So David left and went to the forest of Hereth. All right. So let's jump into it. When you ask most people about the life of King David, many will talk about one of these 7 things. They will talk about him defeating Goliath. They will talk about his affair with Bathsheba. They will talk about him being anointed in the front of his brothers. They will talk about him defeating the bear and the lion. They will talk about him dancing before the Lord with all his might. They will talk about him encouraging himself in the Lord, or they will probably talk about one of those powerful psalms that he wrote. When you talk about David, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. I will bless the Lord at all times. So David is known for one of those 7 things. He's known for some other things, but these are the 7 that most people talk about. But rarely do we talk about his experience in the cave of Adullam. All right. Very rarely do you hear people talk about his experience in the cave of Adullam. And so I'm willing to bet that if you look at at how he went into the cave, how he came out of the cave, you would probably not have the same David that you have as king if he wouldn't have gone through the cave. All right. And so when you look at it, the Bible says he was in this cave of Adullam. That word cave is an interesting word. It means a carved out space. All right. So God put him in a carved out space so that he can work with him. All right. So it's interesting that God uses this cave as a place of development. All right. It's in the cave that David's leadership skills are developed. It's in the cave that David's army is developed. And it's in the cave that David's trust in God is developed. So let's look at it like this. If you're at a place and you're trying to lead people, but your skills are not where you need to be, maybe you're coming out of the cave before you develop. If you're at a place where you really don't trust God like you should, maybe you've come out of that carved out space before God said it was time. All right. And so it's in this season that God has carved out a particular space for your development. And I'll be willing to bet if you just look back over your life, there was some seasons where God has carved out some space, and it was in that space where he developed your trust in him. He developed your leadership skills. He developed your prayer life. All right. And so you got to get to this place. You got to get to this place where you trust God in every step, in every season of your life. So over the past 3 weeks, we've talked about several seasons. We've talked about the pruning season, the preparation season, the prospering season. We've talked about the trusting season, the transition season, the teaching season, testing season, triumphant season, and the troubling season. But here's what I'm discovering, especially after talking to some people this week about the Bible study. There are some moments in life where you can clearly identify the season you're in. All right. If you're honest, there are some seasons where you can say, yeah, Pastor, I was in that pruning season. I was in that preparation season. Yeah, I was in that transition season. There are some seasons where you can clearly identify what season you're in. But there is a season when God is doing multiple works in your life at the same time. And I'm talking to somebody right now. That's where you are. He's doing multiple works in your life, and he's doing them at the same time. And it seems like they're in the same season. All right. And there is a season when there is a combination of seasons that are working together. All right. God is getting ready to take you somewhere, and he's putting you in this place where he's doing a combination of things at the same time. And this is what I want to call tonight. This is a peculiar season. And somebody hearing me tonight, you're saying, Pastor, you may be coming down my road now. I'm in a peculiar season where God is doing all kind of things. I'm trying to identify, is this pruning? Is this preparation? No, I'm in transition. No, I'm trusting. No, this is troubling. So a peculiar season is a divinely designed season where multiple spiritual processes are happening simultaneously. All right, let me say that one more time. A peculiar season is a divinely designed season where multiple spiritual processes are happening simultaneously. All right, so what does that look like? It looks like you're being pruned, but you're learning to trust in God. All right. It looks like you're being prepared, but you're also transitioning to your next spot. It looks like you're prospering, but some days it seems troubling. You looks like you're being tested, but you're teaching others to trust God. In this peculiar season, there's a lot of different things going on. And so you really can't identify what season you're in. All right. So here's what's happening. In this season, you don't know what is going on. You just know something is going on. Okay. I'm seeing where you're going now, Pastor. You don't know what's going on, Pastor. I can't identify. I don't know whether one day I'm pruning, one day I'm preparing, one day I'm prospering, one day I'm testing, one day I'm teaching. I'm all over the place. You might be in a season. You might be in this peculiar season where it's your responsibility not to know what's going on, but you do know God is doing something. All right. You do know God is doing something. So here's my advice for you tonight. If you don't get nothing else from this series, remember this. You can't explain this season. You just have to endure this season. All right. You can't explain it. I just got to get through it. I just got to endure this season. Well, baby, what season are you in? Pastor did this series on what season are you in? I don't really know. I'm in a peculiar season because I'm all over the place. God is doing some unique things in my life in this season. So don't beat yourself up if you can't explain the season. Just stay in God's word, hear God's voice, and just endure the season. All right. Just endure the season. Don't get weary. Just get through the season. All right. So I don't want you to go through all these studies and then think about, well, I don't know exactly which one I'm in. I'm a little bit of this, a little bit of that. You might be in a peculiar season where God is doing multiple works at the same time. All right. He's doing multiple works at the same time. So let me give you some characteristics of the peculiar season. All right. Based on what I'm seeing in 1 Samuel 22. All right. So let's look at it. In the peculiar season, it's also a season of restoration and preparation. All right. It's a season of restoration and preparation. Look at verse number 1. David left Gath and escaped to the cave of Adullam. All right. So remember this. You've heard me say this before. You cannot understand the comfort of the cave without the context of the cave. All right. You really don't understand what God is doing until you really evaluate where you are and where you're coming from. All right. So you can't really understand what God is doing this season unless you're honest with yourself. All right. Unless you're honest with yourself. All right. So in order to find comfort in this season, in order to find understanding in this season, you got to be true to the context of what's going on in your life in this season. And the reason why many of us don't understand the season is because we don't be honest with ourselves. How are you doing? Man, all is good. Is it really? Yeah, I'm blessed and highly favored. No, in order to understand what God is doing in your season, you got to be honest about where you are. All right. So listen to what the text says. The text says that David left Gath and he escaped to the cave of Adullam. That's 1 Samuel 22, verse 1. Let's look at 1 Samuel 21 and see what was going on in David's life. Listen to what it says. David asked Ahimelech, don't you have a spear or a sword here? All right, listen to what David is asking. Do you have a spear or a sword here? I haven't brought my sword or any other weapon because the king's business was urgent. The priest replied, the sword of Goliath, the Philistine, whom you killed in the valley of Elah, is here. It is wrapped in a cloth behind the ephod. If you want it, take it. There is no sword here but that one. David said, there is none like it. Give it to me. Now, when we think about David before, he beat Goliath with a sling and some stones. He destroyed a bear and a lion with his bare hands. But look at where David is now. He's in enemy territory, and he's saying, hey, man, y'all got something I can fight with? Y'all got a spear? Y'all got a sword? Y'all got something I can fight with? And listen to what they said. You remember Goliath, the one you killed? His sword is right here. And listen to what David says. Give it to me. All right. So look at what David is. Look at what David is. He's looking for a weapon to fight with. Look at 1 Samuel 21, verse 10 through 13. That day, David fled from Saul and went to Achish, king of Gath. But the servants of Achish said to him, isn't this David, the king of the land? Isn't he the one that sang about in their dances? Saul has slain his thousands and David his tens of thousands. David took these words to heart and was very much afraid of Achish, king of Gath. So he pretended to be insane in their presence. And while he was in their hands, he acted like a madman, making marks on the doors of the gate and letting saliva run down his beard. Wow. So now watch this. In the midst of difficult times, God provides a place of refuge, a place of escape. Notice in verse 8 and 9, he's looking for a weapon. The same David who used to trust in God's weapons. God's going to fight my battles. God's going to be my sword and my shield. God's going to do it for me. Now he's like, hey, I got to get me a weapon. And then he's acting crazy. He's acting insane. He's acting like a madman. And so watch this. God says you need a place of restoration and a place of preparation. Watch this, because I don't even know who you are anymore. So let me pause right here. And when you read what David is going through right now, when you read what David is going through in the season of 1 Samuel 21, let me ask you a question. Is he fit right now to be a king? No, I like that. Listen to what you guys have said. And this is the reason why I wanted to pause. I wanted you to say it, and some of you are thinking it out loud, because here it is. You're asking yourself, God, why am I in this state? Why am I not progressing? Why am I not moving forward? Why am I not doing? And God sees when you're not acting like the person he created. All right. So when you get into that place where you're not acting like God has created, or you're not acting to like the place he's taking you, he will prepare a place for you to rest, get restored, and prepare for what's next. And so when you get to this season, God knows who you are, even if you're pretending to be somebody you're not. All right. And as someone said in the chat, you're consumed with fear. All right. He's consumed with fear. This is not the David. And so what God says is you can fool other people. They know who you are. They telling you about all the great victories you did, how you killed Goliath and how the people would. But I see who you really are. All right. So instead of letting you go to the throne, I'm going to send you to the cave first. And so this is what I love about God. You're asking God why, and he says, I'm preparing you, watch this, for a season of restoration because of your decision making. All right. So watch this. In the midst of this troubling season, God has to purge him, to prune David of his fear. All right. As Miss Michelle put in the chat, he has to be purged. He has to be pruned of his fear. He's fearful, so he needs a sword. He's fearful, so he has to play crazy. So he prunes him. He purges him of his fear by providing him a way of escape. Here's the shout for me tonight. God is blessing you, and you don't even know it. You're asking him, what am I doing in this cave? What am I doing in this cave? And watch this. He's not protecting you from haters. Some seasons God has to protect you from yourself. Because we quick to blame it on everybody else. We blame it on the politics, blame it on the president, blame it on the church, blame it on this. And God says, no, you're not where I think you ought to be, to where I'm trying to take you. All right. And so what he does is he prepares a cave for him, and watch this, lets him escape to the cave of Adullam. Watch this. David is fractured mentally. He is fractured spiritually, and he's fractured psychologically. Watch this. How do you know that, Pastor? Because he's demonstrating character that does not represent a king, or it does not represent the king. The way you're fractured mentally, spiritually, and psychologically, you're not fit to be who I called you to be. All right. So watch this. I'm not going to give up on you. I'm just going to put you on pause and put you in the cave. And this is why we find ourselves in seasons where nobody is calling us. Nobody is giving us opportunities. Nobody is calling us to speak. Nobody's calling us to preach. Nobody's calling us for a job interview. Nobody. And God says, I see down on the inside what you're putting makeup and mask on with everybody else. I see you're damaged spiritually and psychologically. So watch this. I see you fearful. You're lying. You're deceptive. You're disoriented. So what am I going to do? The cave now becomes a necessary season of recovery. This is what I love about God. He will put you in places of recovery, and you don't even know what's going on. All right, you're sitting there complaining about nobody's calling me and my so-called friends won't help me out. God says, no, I got you in a place. God, why am I in this season of recovery? Here it is. God begins to build what is broken. God begins to repair what is damaged. David is acting like a madman, but he's been called to be king. All right. So God says, let me put you in the cave so I can build what's broken. I can repair what's damaged. So in this season, he begins to put his trust back in God. David wrote 3 Psalms while he was in the cave. All right. David wrote 3 Psalms while he was in the cave. Here's the first one that he wrote. The first one that he wrote is Psalm 142. All right. Psalm 142 was written when he made it to the cave. Listen to what David wrote after playing crazy. Look at what David wrote. He says, I cry out to the Lord. I plead for the Lord's mercy. I pour out my complaints before him, and I tell him all my troubles. Let me say that one more time. I'm running, I'm acting crazy, so now I'm in this cave by myself. And in this cave, I'm crying out to the Lord. I'm pleading for the Lord's mercy. I'm pouring out my complaints before him, and I'm telling him all my troubles. When I'm overwhelmed, you alone know the way I should turn. Wherever I go, my enemies have set traps for me. I look for someone to come and help, but no one gives me a passing thought. No one will help me. No one cares a bit what happens to me. Then I pray to you, O Lord. I say, you are my place of refuge. You are all I really want in life. Hear my cry, for I am very low. Rescue me from my persecutors, for they are too strong for me. Bring me out of prison so I can thank you. Woo, Lord, have mercy. Bring me out of prison so I can thank you. The godly will crowd around me, for you are good to me. Listen to the words of this person as compared to the one that was outside the cave. So maybe the cave was designed to develop your prayer life. Maybe the cave was designed for you to cry out to the Lord. Maybe the cave was designed for you to pour out your complaints to him instead of everybody else. And look at what David says. David recognized the shape he was in. Listen to what he said. He said, I'm overwhelmed. I'm overwhelmed. He says, I've been brought to a very low place. Here it is. David is honest about himself. He's honest about his situation, and he's being honest with the God he knows can help. And so watch this. He's in the cave. He's in a season of restoration. He's in a season of preparation. So watch what happens. David escaped to the cave of Adullam. Now watch what the second part of that verse says. When his brothers and his father's household heard about it, they went down to him there. All those who were in distress, who were in debt, who were discontented gathered around him, and he became their leader. About 400 men were with him. All right. So let's look at that. Hear me well on this part. God does not give him responsibility until he's repaired. Quit asking God for more when you refuse to let him repair what's broken. Too many people are trying to lead others when they're damaged, they're broken, they're fractured spiritually, mentally, and psychologically. And God says, I'm not going to give you responsibility of being a king until you're repaired yourself. So watch what it says. David is in the cave by himself. But then watch this. When others begin to hear, when his brothers begin to hear, his fathers begin to hear, then God allowed them to come down. Why, God, why did you let him get there first? And then you allowed time for his brothers to come. Watch this. Because it's difficult to help others when you're hurting yourself. I believe I got one or two witnesses who can testify right there that there are some seasons. There are some seasons where you want to help, you want to volunteer, you want to do something, but you cannot help others when you're broken yourself. All right. So God says, I have to get you in a season where I have to build you up. I have to heal you so that you can be a blessing to others. All right. So it's in this season, it's in this peculiar season where there is a time of healing before helping. So many people, they want to help so bad. They feel like if I ain't doing something, I feel like I'm useless. And God says there are some seasons where you got to just sit down somewhere. There are some seasons. That's the advantage of having team ministry, where you don't have to carry the load by yourself, because it's difficult to help others when you're hurting yourself. All right. There's a time of healing before God calls you to help. All right. So now God heals David. He heals David. So now watch this. His brothers and his father's household show up. All right. After he begins to get healed himself. So now watch this. There's restoration of self and restoration with what you're closely connected to. All right. What do I mean by that? Notice who came to see him. Notice who first came to see him. The text says his brothers and his father's household. All right. His brother and his father's household. Watch this. His father came to see him. All right. His father came to see him. Do y'all remember his father? Listen to what happened when Samuel came to his father's house. So he asked Jesse, are these all the sons you have? Listen to Jesse's response. There's still that youngest boy, but he's out there tending the sheep. You told me you was going to come and anoint the king, so I brought the ones that I thought are king material. Lord have mercy. I brought all the ones that I think, all my sons that I think should be anointed king. So he says, is this all of them? He said, no, there's one more. There's one more. But he out there in the sheep. Go ahead and keep the party going. He's not one of them. Samuel said, send for him. We're not sitting down till he comes. So I'm going through a season where I'm fractured, I'm broken, and then God repairs me, and then he sends my father to me. Interesting. The same father who overlooked me, the same father who didn't think it worthy to call me when they're getting ready to announce who's the next, the same father who thought everybody else was better than me. Okay, God, I see you. Not only my father, but my brothers come. You remember the brothers, don't you? But when David's older brother Eliab heard David talking to the men, he got angry. What are you doing around here anyway? He demanded. What about those few little sheep you're supposed to be taking care of? I know your pride and your deceit. You just want to see the battle. Look at who God sends him. God says, here's a true test that you are restored yourself. Here's a true test that you're not still fractured. All right. Here it is. You're restored for service when you can deal with those who overlooked you and mistreated you. Pastor, how do I know I'm ready? How do I know I'm ready to serve? How do I know I'm repaired? When you can deal with those who overlooked you and mistreated you. Watch this. Before God moves you forward, the question is, have you reconciled with your past? The question is, before you move forward, have you reconciled with your past? Why is that important, Pastor? Because God will not allow you to bring bitterness and brokenness into your season of blessing. God is getting ready to bless David to be king on the throne. And he says to him, I have to repair you because you're fractured spiritually, psychologically, mentally, and I'm not going to let you bring that bitterness and brokenness into your season. And this is why we got to be very careful who we put in leadership positions. Because if you're trying to teach others while you're broken and you're bitter, every lesson you teach is going to be talking about the person that hurt you last season. Whew, Lord have mercy. And so God says, you in this season now because I need you to heal before you try to help. I need to remove that bitterness. I need to remove that brokenness before you go into a season of blessing. So I love what God does. God has David by himself. He repairs him first. And then he sends people, his close family, who overlooked him and who mistreated him. So you're wondering why God hasn't taken you into that prospering season? Examine yourself and see if you're holding any bitterness and brokenness in your heart. If so, God has to repair you before he blesses you. Let me ask this question. Let's pause again. Let me ask this question. Why do you think it's so important? We covered some of it, but why do you think it's so important for you to be healed personally in this season before God blesses you in your next season? Why do you think it's so important for God to repair you and to heal you and to bless you and repair you before you move forward? Let's talk about that for a minute. Unmute yourself, or you can put it in the chat. Go ahead.
Our decisions will be made from our own personal hurt.
Mm-hmm. That's good. Every decision you make will be based on how they treated you, how they hurt you, how they did you, rather than what God has said. All right. And I have a book on my shelf that's entitled Hurt People, Hurt People. All right. Hurt people, hurt people. All right. And so when you are hurt yourself, take time to let God let you go into your cave of Adullam and take time to heal before you start trying to help. All right. Awesome. That is awesome. Anyone Thank else? You, Miss Rhonda. A broken vessel can't hold the contents that God is pouring into. You can't teach others when you're at your lowest. All right. I like that. So now watch this. He takes him from the cave, which is a season of preparation, a season of recovery. But then also in this peculiar season, then it turns into still in the cave. It turned into a season of teaching, testing, and trusting all at the same time. All right. We're in the same season. We're in this peculiar season. I've gone from restoration and preparation. Now I'm in this season of teaching and testing and trusting all at the same time. This is why this season is called the peculiar season, because a lot of stuff is going on in this cave at the same time. So now watch this. While David is hurting and helpless, it would make sense for God to send him qualified help. All right. It just makes sense to me, Minister Holmes, that I'm hurting. I'm helpless. I ain't got no money. I'm in this cave. It's dark in here. I need God to send me some qualified help. I'm broke. Send me some people with some money or some good credit. All right. So watch what God does. All right. Verse 2, all those who were in distress, all those who were in debt, all those who were discontented gathered around him. Wait a minute. Time, flag on the play. God, you tripping. God, something's going on. What's going on? I'm hurting. I'm helpless. I'm in a cave by myself. My family is coming. The ones who overlooked me, the ones who mistreated me. And God, all those who were in distress, all those who were in debt, all those who were discontented, watch this, gathered around him, and he became their leader. About 400 men were with him. I'm hurting. I'm helpless. I'm hopeless. It would make sense for God to send me some qualified help. Hear me well. In this season, what arrives does not resemble what you prayed for. Oh, I'm about to shout all by myself. I'm praying. Lord, give me a financial blessing. Lord, give me a financial breakthrough. Lord, I'm asking you to open up the windows. Lord, I'm asking you. And then what arrives after prayer does not resemble what you pray for. I'm talking to somebody tonight. I'm talking to somebody. You're praying and asking God for a certain thing, and he keeps sending certain people, and it don't match what you're praying for. God, did you not hear my prayer? Did you not hear my prayer? So remember what I told you. I told you David wrote Psalm 142, but he also wrote Psalm 57. Listen to Psalm 57, his prayer. Listen to his prayer while in the cave. When you look at Psalm 57, at the subscription, it says a prayer while in the cave of Adullam. Listen to what it says. I cry out to God Most High, to God who will fulfill his purpose for me. He will send help from heaven to rescue me, disgracing those who hound me. My God will send forth his unfailing love and faithfulness. That's what he's praying. God's going to send me some help from heaven. God going to send me some faith, unfailing love and faithfulness. God going to send me some help from heaven. And broke folks show up. People who discouraged and discontent and in debt, those are the ones who show up. So watch this. While you're in this season, that don't look like what you're praying for. Ooh, I'm talking to somebody here tonight. You praying, and God keeps sending these people in your life. He keeps sending these things in your life. And notice what David says in verse 2, who will fulfill his purpose for me. God is sending some people who will fulfill his purpose for me. Watch this. Watch this. It's in the cave where David has to trust that God sends what is sufficient. He has to trust that God sends what is necessary. So if you're praying for something and God sends something, it may not be what you want. It may just be what you need. Woo, Lord have mercy. And somebody can testify when you look back over your life, God didn't send you what you wanted. He sent you what you needed, what was necessary, what was sufficient for that season. All right. So watch what happens. God sends answers disguised as assignments. God sent answers. He answered your prayer, but they was disguised as assignments. Okay. David's in the cave, and those who are in distress, those who are in debt, those who discontented, they gather around him. Though God sends some strange people. Here's what I discovered. God builds his kingdom with those who are committed, not qualified. See, most people want people to come and partner with them who already got it together. And there are some seasons where God sends you those people who got it together. But then there are some seasons where God is sending people who don't have it together, because that's your responsibility for you to train them on how to get themselves together. Oh, Lord have mercy. See, you want people to come who are already ready. But leadership skills come when you can take somebody from the bottom where you are and y'all come up together. Lord have mercy. And so this is why when I teach pastors about membership and things like this, I say your prayer is to send you God-fearing, tithe-paying people who got it going on. No, God gonna send you some people who you can teach stewardship so they'll learn how to give, learn how to trust God with their resources. And that's what true leadership is. All right. Because if he sends you somebody who already got it going on, then they'll say the reason why you blessed is because God sent me. But when you come, you don't have nothing, I don't have nothing. We're going to see God do it in all of our lives. I wish I had somebody tonight who can testify. God sent some people in your life, and the reason why y'all so close now is because y'all both learn how to trust in God together. All right. So listen to what he does. This is so powerful to me. He says, Lord, I know you're going to send help from heaven to rescue me. And God said, okay, I'm finna send them. And he send people who are distressed, in debt, and discontented. But that's Bible. That's Bible. This is what I love about the Bible. That's not surprising, because watch this. 1 Corinthians chapter 1, 26 through 29. Remember, dear brothers and sisters, that few of you were wise in the world's eyes, or powerful or wealthy when God called you. Instead, God chose things the world considers foolish in order to shame those who think they are wise. And he chose things that are powerless to shame those who are powerful. God chose things despised by the world, things counted as nothing at all, and used him to bring nothing what the world considers important. Here's my shout. As a result, no one can ever boast in the presence of God. Hear me well, Mount Olive. Y'all needed a pastor, and God did some foolish stuff. God sent you somebody who never pastored before a day in his life. God sent y'all somebody who was a nightclub DJ who had never pastored before. And here, look at where we are now. It was foolish to some of them preachers to say, why y'all choose that boy? He ain't there. It's foolish. He can't hoop. He can't sing like us. And God says, watch what I do with what you call foolish. Because when Mount Olive get to a certain place, he can't get the credit. Nobody can boast but God. And this is why, don't try to get so qualified for the position. Let God place you where he needs you at. All right. So you got to understand that there are more people who are more qualified than you. There are more people who got more credentials than you, but God still chose you for the position because he's using stuff that don't make no sense so he can get the credit. Oh, Lord have mercy. And so this is what's happening. You got to trust that what God sends you in this season is what you need, not what you desire. All right. So he's in the cave. And so he has to trust that what God sent is what he needs. He's in a cave. So now he's got to teach them to trust in God. And here's the key phrase. God sends him these people who are in distress, who are in debt, who discontented. Watch at the end of verse 2. And he became their leader. He became their leader. About 400 of them. Watch this. David becomes, in this season, what he has been anointed to be. He got anointed to be king in 1 Samuel chapter 16. But in 1 Samuel chapter 22, God gives him a season to become what he's already been called to be. And that's why I shout like I shout, is because I'm becoming what God has already anointed me to be. All right. So there are some seasons. Where you keep asking God, why am I here? Why am I here? He says, I thought you said you was anointed. I am. But this don't look like a place for an anointed person. No. It's in this place where you become what I've called you to be. You become what I anointed you to be. All right. So don't skip over this peculiar season because it's in the cave where you become who God called you to be. All right. So this is why that season, that peculiar season where he's teaching you how to trust him. He's teaching you how, he's testing you in certain areas. And now you got to teach others to grow in the word of God. You got to teach others to trust in God. All right. So he's in this strange season. He's in this strange season of teaching, testing, and trusting. All right. He's in this strange season. Watch this. So David now got 400 men. And so now he's teaching them, he's training them, but he's learning at the same time. Okay. He's teaching these 400 how to become an army. He's training them how to become an army. But he's also learning at the same time. All right. So he's developing them. He's training these 400 men to be a mighty army. But at the same time, look at what verse 3 and 4 says. Later, David went to Mizpah in Moab, where he asked the king, please allow my father and mother to live here with you. Here it is. Watch what's in red. Until I know what God is going to do for me. This is why this is a peculiar season. I got to teach you guys. I got to train you guys on how to be a mighty army. I got to teach you. I got to train you in this cave. But at the same time, I'm here until I know what God is going to do for me. This is what I love about the Bible. This is what I love about the Bible, because some seasons you become the student. Some seasons you become the pupil. But man, there are some strange, peculiar seasons where you're the teacher and the pupil at the same time. I'm teaching you. I'm teaching you while I'm waiting to see what God is doing in my life also. This is why you can't just sit down and just be selfish. Well, Pastor, I can't do that because I'm waiting on my breakthrough. I'm waiting on my blessing. Yes, that's all well and good, but there are going to come some seasons where you got to do both of them at the same time. And this is why as pastor, as leader, as minister, as ministry team leaders, sometimes you got to lead while you're bleeding. You got to teach others while you're trying to get it right yourself. All right? Watch this. Well, Pastor, I thought you just said, no. I'm healed, but I'm learning at the same time. I'm healed. I'm not broken. I'm healed, but I'm learning and teaching at the same time. That's what I do every week. Every week. I come on here every Wednesday night. I'm teaching y'all what the Word of God say. But at the same time, I never get too grown to learn myself. Lord have mercy. So you got to understand that there's a season where you can't shut down because there's 400 people depending on you. That's why it's dangerous to say, well, I need to take some time off, Pastor. I need some me time. But you better make sure it's not teaching time. All right. And so you got to get to this place where in this season, I would love to take a break and let somebody else do it. But I know that I'm teaching others because I'm developing them while at the same time hearing from God for myself. Oh, Lord, I'm hearing from God myself. Watch this. How long are you going to be in the cave, David? How long are you going to be in the cave? Listen to his word. Until. How long are you going to stay in that cave, David? Until what? Until I know what God is going to do for me. Oh, Lord have mercy. That's shouting news right there. And so sometimes people will look at you like, by now you ought to be doing more than that. By now. No. I'm staying here until I know what God is going to do for me. Don't let nobody make you move. Don't move until you know what God is going to do for you. All right. So watch this. David refused to move until he knew what God was doing. All right. And here's my shout. There's some seasons where you don't have all the details, but he knew God was working in this season. That's why I love Romans 8:28. And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him and have been called according to his purpose. And this is why I'm driving this home tonight. There are some seasons I don't know what God is doing. I don't know if he's pruning me, preparing me, prospering me. I don't know if I'm in teaching season, training season. I can't explain what season I'm in, but I do know this. I know God is doing something in this season. I know God is working some things together, and he's working them according to his purpose. All right? He's working them according to his purpose. All right. So let's see if we can get to the end. All right. Here's the last one. So in this peculiar season, there's a time of restoration and preparation. There's a time of testing, teaching, and trusting. But then, like last week, there's a season of transition. Look at 1 Samuel 22, verse 5. Then the prophet Gad said to David, don't remain in the stronghold. Depart and go into the land of Judah. All right. Don't stay there. Don't stay there. Don't stay there. All right. Last week we talked about how the word of the Lord kept coming to Elijah. God will always send a word. He will always send a word. And listen to what the man of God says to David. Do not remain in the place of preparation forever. We talked about this last week. Some people want to stay in that season. God done dried the brook up. They done went and got a water hose, trying to put water in the brook, trying to put water back in it. They trying their best to fill the brook back up, and God has dried it up. There is a season where you got to come to this understanding. I can't remain in the same season. I can't remain in the same place doing the same thing forever. When you've gone through the preparation season, now it's time to move. Watch this. This season, this cave season, this peculiar season, it was necessary. He was fractured. He was fractured spiritually. He was fractured. Season was necessary, but it was also temporary. All right. The cave was not the destination. It was only a place of development. And this is the reason why some of you are frustrated. You're trying to make it last forever, and God says, no, it was only temporary. All right? It was only temporary. The place that you're in now was not your final destination. It might have been just a place of preparation. All right? It might have just been a place of development. And so, like Elijah, the word of God is foundation for transition. And some of you keep missing your transition because here's the question you got to ask yourself. Are you in tune with the voice of God? Are you in tune with the voice of God? That's the question you got to keep asking yourself. Am I in tune with the voice of God? And I remember, as I've told you this before, I remember when I was wrestling with, man, is it time for me to leave Avenue? Is it time for me to move? Is it time for me? Has God called me to pastor? Should I leave? Should I go? Should I stay? And I kept hearing people tell me, man, it's your time. Man, you can preach. Man, you can do this. Man, you're a good leader. You're a good man. I kept hearing people tell me, but I would not leave until I heard the voice of God. I've got friends that moved here from Fomerville, and they said, man, I'm thinking about joining a church. I said, hear from God. Ministers who think about joining our church, I say, hear from God. You got to be in tune with the voice of God in order for you to make sure you're in the right place in the right season. All right. And so it's hard to hear God when there's so much noise in your head. And this is why he has to put you by the brook. This is why he has to put you in the cave so that you can hear God clearly so you don't miss transition season. All right. So here's the last thing. I want to give you a word of warning about transition. Hear me well on this. Hear me well on this. 1 Samuel 22, verse number 6. Verse 5, he says, don't remain in the stronghold. Leave there and go to the land of Judah. Don't stay there forever. That's what he said in verse 5. Watch verse 6. Now Saul heard that David and his men had been discovered. The word done got out where he's at. He's in that cave. The word got out to Saul that David and his men had been discovered. And Saul, with his spear in hand, was seated under the tamarisk tree on the hill of Gibeah with all his officials standing around him. Wait a minute, God. You put me in this cave for 5 verses. I'm teaching these men. I'm training these men. I'm becoming a leader. I'm becoming a captain. I'm learning how to trust in you. I'm learning how to depend on you. You're building me up. I'm not fractured anymore. I'm stronger now than when I came in. And the minute in verse 6, Saul is already waiting on me with a spear in his hand. Here's what you got to understand. When God takes you through a season, he takes you in this preparation season, this development season. Watch this. When you come out of your season, the same enemy is still seeking whom he may devour. The enemy didn't change. The enemy is not different. Watch this. But you should be. Oh, Lord, have mercy. When you come out of this season that you're in, when you come out of whatever God has told you, and you've been on Bible study for 4 weeks, and pastor has taught you about seasons, and man, you know about trusting season, you know about transit, you know about all these seasons. Newsflash, come tomorrow morning. The same enemy, the same people that didn't like you before your season started, the same people that didn't like you before you got your promotion, they're still there. They're not different. Here's what's different. You are. The cave wasn't designed to remove your enemies. It was designed to remove the fear of your enemies. So even if they're there when I come out, I'm not that same guy that went in. Oh, Lord have mercy. And this is what you got to understand. The season is not designed to remove enemies. It's designed to build trust in God. No weapon formed against you is going to prosper. You will prosper, but the enemy, his design to kill you, will not prosper. All right. So you got to get to this place that I'm better after the cave, even if the enemy is still the same. Oh, God. I'm better after the cave, even if the enemy is the same. So why is this important? Why is this important? Let's close it down with this. This is what I wanted to drive home tonight. Don't spend time trying to figure out what season you're in. Several people have told me, Pastor, I don't know what season I'm in. I'm trying to figure out what season I'm in. Don't waste a lot of time trying to figure out what season you're in. Here it is. Just understand that you're in a season. All right. I don't have to figure out. I don't have to have all the details. Is this pruning? Is this preparation? Is this trust? No. Just understand that I'm in a season, and just know this: God is doing something. All right. There may be a peculiar season. I'm talking to somebody because this is where I find myself in a lot of times. There may be a peculiar season when God is working multiple things together for your growth and development. He's working on me trusting him. He's working on me teaching others. He's working on me testing my faith. There's a lot of things going on at the same time. And watch this. He's doing all of that for my growth and my development. So I'm talking to somebody tonight. You might be in pruning season. You might be in preparation season. You might be in prospering season. You might be in trusting, transition, teaching, testing, triumphant trust. I don't know what season you're in. But here's what I do know. There comes a season where you might be in all of them at the same time. And here's my closing statement. The same God that's in one season is the God of all seasons. Yeah, whatever season you're in, whether it's pruning season, preparation season, testing season, it don't matter what season it is. The same God that's in pruning season, he's the same God of all seasons. All right. And so that's why I trust God. And here's what I figured out today. I was on my way out to the studio and to pick up something out of the studio, and the sun was bright on 220. And man, it just got warm. It was 30 something degrees a couple of weeks ago. Now it's warm today. Sun is out, but it ain't summer yet. So even in winter season, God will still give you some sunny days. Even in winter season, God will still give you some sunny days. Even in winter season, God will give you some warm days. But because you know it's winter season, and you get a sunny day, don't box up all your winter clothes just because you had one sunny day. Because this series is designed to teach you that seasons change. Seasons, don't get comfortable. Don't get comfortable in this season. Don't get comfortable because you're being blessed in this season. Be prepared for transition. But know this, the same God in one season is the God of all seasons. So I love this peculiar season because God is working a lot of things together at the same time. But I trust God. Whatever season I'm in. I trust God whatever season I'm in. All right. So times and seasons. So we've covered a lot so far. So tonight we will come to the conclusion